a plethora of great games yesterday. Of course, I made mention of the fact that I watched the Rutgers Clemson game. That was exciting. I watched the Loyola game. That was cool. But the Villanova game we waited for all day yesterday, which was a nip and tuck affair. So I wanted to my favorite Wildcat. I had to reach out to him. So let's go to the sports hotline and welcome into the locker room the radio voice of the Villanova Wildcats, Ryan Fannon. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, Billy, great to be with you and Scott. And I'll tell you what, it's like that feeling where I saw today at 5:37 a.m. it became springtime officially, and the Cats' new season began last night. And how exciting is it right now with Purdue going down to the 13th seed North Texas? Villanova had to take care of business last night against a very talented Winthrop team that went 23-1. And Villanova showed a lot of poise last night. Only 6 turnovers, made clutch free throws. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl was tremendous. And Brian Antoine, the Jersey product, came up with back-to-back threes as a key reserve off the bench last night in the second half when we really needed it. And the Cats are moving on to the round of 32. You got to love it.
I got to tell you, I do love it, and I love this time of year because I get an opportunity to speak with you. Of course, last year at this time, we were all robbed of this euphoric feeling of March Madness by the pandemic, but we have it back. And I got to tell you, that game last night, Ryan, was nip and tuck for the first half and in the beginning of the second half. But that Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, he's quite a player.
He was just huge numbers last night. I really thought the key to the game was keeping him out of foul trouble. He ended up picking up the 4 fouls, but he didn't get that 4th foul till late in the game, and he just did everything for Villanova. The offense ran through him. He's comfortable as our big man at the 4 or 5 spot, able to go out and handle the ball. 22 points, 12 rebounds. He had 6 assists, played 38 minutes, also added 3 blocks. He does everything for Villanova right now, and last night he was tremendous.
Hey, Ryan, this Villanova team is one of your smaller teams. I mean, I think Robinson's the tallest guy at 6'9". I mean, you don't have a big backcourt. That's for front court.
Yeah, you look at our team, it's interesting. I mean, let me give you an interesting stat that sort of bodes to what you mentioned. We only had 32 blocks the entire 22 games going into the NCAA tournament. We average just about 1.5 blocks a game. So we are not the kind of team that's big on the back end, but we're extremely versatile. And, Villanova switches screens all the time. We just have a lot of versatile defenders, and no more so than Jeremiah Robinson-Earl at the 5 spot that can go out, nail threes, and do so much for us. But seeing Justin Moore healthy last night was just a huge lift for us. Of course, he surprised everyone by coming off that bad ankle injury in the sprain late in the year against Providence, even playing in the Georgetown Big East tournament game that was the heartbreaking loss. But then he had another 8 days to get ready for the game last night, and he showed up and looked healthy and was huge for us last night as well, along with Jermaine Samuels, that's been playing great as a great senior leader for us the last 4 to 6 weeks. He's really come on.
Well, hey, Ryan, we've never had a chance to speak, but after that opening, I don't even have to watch the games. Can you just leave me a voicemail what happened, in the game? I mean,
that's why he's the radio voice of the Wildcats, Scooter.
I felt like I just went through the whole game. It was great. So
I appreciate that.
You've always wanted to be a broadcaster, and apparently your dad had kind of brought you into the sports world, and your mom made you the ham, supposedly. But was there a broadcaster that you wanted to emulate when you were young growing up?
Yeah, when I was growing up, Jim Nance was always the one that I, along with Bob Costas, also got a chance as a young broadcaster when I was doing student radio here to meet Mike Tirico and Jim Nance. And I just remember those guys giving me that time to spend with them, whether it was before a game or doing a pregame interview when I first started doing the pregame and postgame for Villanova basketball back in the mid-'90s. But, so many guys have helped me over the years. And that's why anytime a young broadcaster reaches out, I give them my cell number immediately. I say, call me, let's talk. I'll tell you some good stories about how to maybe get in the industry. And I just love that part of sports broadcasting because so many people helped me when I was young.
And Scooter, Ryan's been a great friend of the show. This time every year, as soon as I text him, he's right. He's Johnny on the spot, gets right back to me. And of course, you can see his enthusiasm when we have him on the program. He gives you such a detailed explanation of what happened. You don't even need to see the game.
Right.
But Ryan, how about I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. It was pretty devastating losing Colin Gillespie. I thought this team was on track. I don't know how far they can take it without him. And we want them to play well. But losing Colin Gillespie had to be a pretty big blow to this group.
It was a huge blow. And you think about, he really was one of the great leaders in Villanova basketball history. Jay Wright, who's been there, of course, 20 years now, gone to 3 Final Fours, won 2 national championships. For him to say that he was one of the greatest leaders, and still is, even though he can't play, it just shows of how important the heart and soul of this team that Gillespie was. But here's why I think Jay Wright has a tremendous chance this spring to get into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, because he is able to watch a team right now that he had to literally reinvent. Think about this for a minute. Gillespie goes down March 3rd against Creighton in the first half. Villanova is able to hold on and win that game to win the regular season. Then they go to Providence and they have to make adjustments. Chris Arcidiacono's playing a ton of minutes. They got to bring Brian Antoine in, who's starting to play more minutes. And all of a sudden, Moore goes down in the first half with the ankle injury. And then you get to the Big East tournament, and shockingly, Moore plays when he wasn't supposed to. But I thought what happened the last 8 days, from the Thursday loss to Georgetown till Friday's game last night, Jay Wright was able to get more healthy again and sort of just have a week to work with the team and reinvent this team for a hopeful run here in the NCAA tournament without Colin Gillespie. And you could just sense last night that things are starting to turn for this group, guys knowing their roles. And that's so exciting. And then you see Purdue get beat by the 13th seed North Texas, and all of a sudden Villanova's staring a 13th seed in the face tomorrow for a chance to go to the Sweet 16. So this thing could get interesting real quick, and this Villanova team that wasn't playing well down the stretch could have some big momentum if they could just sneak out that win tomorrow and find a way to get to the second weekend.
We're talking with the radio voice of the Villanova Wildcats, Ryan Fannon. And hey, Scooter, how about this stat? And Ryan, obviously, you're going to comment on it. But this is a tough role for Chris Arcidiacono, but he hasn't even scored a jump shot. Has he hit a jump shot all since he's been in the game?
Nope, but he's played huge minutes in the Providence game, the Georgetown game, and the Winthrop game. And he has 1 turnover in those 3 games, playing significant minutes. And what he's proven is he's got that DNA of the Arcidiaconos. He's feisty, he's tough, he lives and breathes Villanova, and he takes care of the basketball. He is a solid point guard that can come in, and now with more healthy, even last night, look, Arcidiacono started the game, and you look at last night, and he ended up playing 12 minutes, but he got the start, and it was huge to be able to play more a little off the ball, because we know Justin Moore can play on or off the ball for the Wildcats. And Arcidiacono is just giving Villanova a big spark right now. And most importantly, when you get a young guy that has to step in, that hasn't played all year, and he can protect the basketball, and you can get the trust of your coaches and your teammates by protecting the basketball, we know how huge that is this time of year. And the team, 6 turnovers last night, as I mentioned, a tremendous low number in the NCAA tournament.
Hey, Ryan, you know what? It's funny. Earlier in the show, I said to Billy, when we opened the show, he talked about Villanova's win last night. And I said, you know what? It looked like a coaching, masterpiece in a sense. Like, he took those players, and I've been a coach myself for 26 years. I think our job is, number one, is really get the guys to get the most out of each individual player. And it looks like what you just said, Jay got the most out of all these guys. Now, this summer, the Sixers had looked for a coach, and his name was mentioned. Do you think he'll ever leave Villanova?
He always says when this comes up that he has the greatest job in America. He literally loves being the head coach of the Villanova Wildcats. And it's something that when things come up or media reports come up, at the end of the day, he always says, why would I leave? I have the greatest job in the world. And he really believes that. And to think how lucky we are at Villanova that he feels that way as a 2-time national championship coach and a 3-time Final Four coach, now in his 20th year, the way time flies, already 20 years as the head coach. And we all remember he was an assistant back in the late 80s, early 90s under Raleigh Massimino. So this guy is the greatest thing that ever happened to Villanova, in my opinion.
And not only that, I mean, I believe Villanova is the 7th straight year to make the tournament, one of only, I think, maybe 5 or 6 teams that do it this year.
Yeah, actually, the streak is incredible because last year with no tournament, Villanova's gone to the tournament 15 of the last 16 years the NCAA tournament's been played. And actually, last night was 8 straight years to the NCAA tournament. And that is an all-time school record. Villanova had gone 7 straight a couple different times, but now 8 in a row is the most consecutive in the history of this storied basketball program.
Now, you guys, looks like Villanova will take on, North Texas, like you said. That game's on Sunday, correct?
Yes, Sunday. It's an 8:45 start. It's a late game. It's the second to latest start time. It's going to be very interesting because, we're on that side of the bracket where number 4 Purdue lost, of course, to set up this Villanova-North Texas matchup. And then in the South region, Villanova's region as well, you've got the 2-seed Ohio State that's already gone to Oral Roberts. So things are starting to unfold. Very interesting in the South region. And, this North Texas State, they used to be, now they're just North Texas, the Mean Green. I've done a lot of research on them literally just in the last 15 hours or so. Hardly could get any sleep because I'm so fired up for Villanova's game tomorrow already. But I'll tell you, this is an interesting team when you look at some of their strengths, fellas. They're a very good defensive ball club. They hold their opponents to just 61 points per game, and they allow opponents only to shoot about 41%. And they're not a very deep team, but they have a tremendous point guard. Here's the name to watch. Javion Hamlet, their point guard, their leading scorer, leading assist man. He plays with incredible confidence. And we know this, guys, from the UMBC win over UVA back in 2018. This tournament has such great parity that it doesn't matter what seed you are. You believe you're going to win. I was listening to the press conference last night of North Texas, late into the night, into the morning. And you could just tell. They're like, yeah, we won against Purdue. We're not done. We want to keep going. And that's what I think makes this tournament so great is everybody in the field feels like they're going to win when they step on the floor.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ryan, we feel your enthusiasm. It's infectious. We really appreciate it. I know you were up late last night, but once again, want to thank you so much for always taking time to talk to our, share a little bit of insight with our listeners. I appreciate it.
Hey, great being with you, Billy, you today, and Scott. Great chatting with you, my friend. And hey, let's get this thing cranked up. 12:15. We got Georgetown and Colorado coming up in a short time, and then 2 other Big East teams in action today, also Creighton and Connecticut. So love rooting for the conference, and most importantly, love rooting for those Wildcats. Great being with you guys, and enjoy the madness.